Welcome back and hello for everybody to join us on the LSE IT Corner. As we have seen in part one, how to actually make SVG files for social media icons in Inkscape as a beginner guide. This is part two, which dives in a little bit more into the technical terms, so that is beyond beginner's guide. So where we left off was we had the goal to actually get our images, pretty much icons, shown here, as you can see it down here below already. And as I hover over, you see already that they are also changing color. This is the end product. And there's a lot of important stuff you need to know. So hopefully everybody is going to take note, because we're going to dive through the ins and outs, do's and don'ts, so that you guys don't do all the research what I had to do in order to make this fully functional and actually work proper. So a couple things to note right from the go is, when you do this, make sure that you know how to remove the cache of your browser, because very often your browser is the biggest enemy by caching an old snapshot of it. And when you work on it, here you can see, for example, there's a True Social there. And if I go now into, let's see if this one is still serving it up from earlier, going in the Firefox here, that's the developer version, into it, it grabs, no, this one is serving up correctly. Brave is doing it. Chrome is working it. Let's see if Edge is doing it now as well. Where I was working on stuff, making sure, come on, get away from that and put this in. Let's see if this one is showing it up correctly, or if this one is, you see what this, so what this is, and this is one of the things you guys need to know, is when you're dealing with this type of a configuration, this type of a programming, it uses caching a lot in all your web browsers. And when that happens, you have a little bit of a nightmare that it tries to do something and it doesn't show what you're actually trying to do, and shows it somewhere else. And this is what it looked in between when I was working on it and trying to figure out what is not working and what is working. So when you see something like that, where it is scattered all over the place, that means you're doing two things incorrect. And I dive through all these settings in detail, what to look out for and what to do in order to avoid all this hassle and issue. So number one, let me close this out, because we want to get it to look like this, right? And so what we have here, VP admin, and log in there as myself. Nope, don't want that. So as we can see, this is our WordPress installation where we did the code snippet. And what we did here, we said in a certain section, we want to insert it after post. So this is exactly after the post, before the additional plugin grabs. So here we have all our social media icons now, which is exactly what we need for later on doing the API. But if you just want to get your social media icons all served up, it applies the same way. So like, for example, when you go to luminet.info main page, and you scroll down, here your social media icons, right? So you want to have, and as you can see, this one is outdated, different colors, different symbols. You can do it whatever you want, with whatever you want. But in our case, we're going to do it with an SVG, where we have all these icons in one single file, and therefore also very nicely compressed. So the way I accomplished that is in 2 steps. Number one, I said, okay, I want to use an insert module where I'm going to give it the nice rundown. So I made sure I can use an inline style sheet. I didn't optimize anything here for the front end coding, so it's not compressed by any means, but so this way you can easily look at it and you can pretty much copy and paste those settings as you see fit. One of the things I noticed is when you have the SMM link SVG in, don't forget your stroke width to set it at 0.1. That makes things a lot easier. But as you can see, I have the width here and I have the width there and the height there. So I set the image of the icon to be a specific 100 by 100 pixel. So it's a nice size, so I can easily click on it. Similar to this, right? Similar to this. This is 100 by 100. And so it's easy for me to click on when I want to do some posting later on with it. But down here, what we did is, so first of all, we give it your standard, right? So you just make an ahref wherever you want to point that SVG section of the file towards to, you just put it in. Then you say, I want to use a class, which is, there it is, right? So the class is SMM link, which is right here, SMM link, and there's SMM link SVG. So keep that in mind. And there's a hover over for the SVG. So you can do that in multiple different ways how to tweak things. So in our case, we just wanted to have one color. If you want to do multiple colors, then you do hover at Facebook, at Instagram, and so on, and then you can do different colors for the fill. So when you hover over, it changes the color for it. So, but you can do it like this as well, where you just hover over, change to black or to whatever color you want, and good is. In our case, we just want to have it into blue so that we know what we are clicking on. So once that is done, you just say your target is blank. Always use that. Underscore blank means extra window without any carryover of any information. That's where the REL comes into play for no opener and no refer, meaning nothing from where you're coming from is being carried over to where you're going to. So keep those two things like I configured it here in place. Now, as you can see, there is one X link and everything else is without. I just want to make sure that you guys know that there are two options. They still do the same thing. So your SVG, making sure that you give it an ID. That ID in the SVG needs to be matched in upper and lowercase letters to the T, like copy and paste. Your ARIA label is when it cannot serve it up and you need just for people which can't see pictures, so to speak. They would see then the Facebook and they would go over it and they would hear the labeling Facebook for it. That's what ARIA-label is for. Anyhow, so we're using use, so meaning in our SVG file, we're going to use symbol. So, and this is where the trick comes in. So you only have to have one image. As you can see, it highlights it here. All these are within the same image file. So very nice compression. You only have to load one element once and not dozens of different ones for all the different social. It's one single one and that's it. And you give with it the option, a hashtag, so to speak, what you want to load. So like we did in the first section, we're using Inkscape. Inkscape is a little non-perfect, let's put it this way, because when you have a final image, you don't see anything. It's all white. But let's see, here's the True Social. It's down here selected. Here is the Facebook up there selected. There is the Instagram. It's right up next there. So if I take this out and just drop it down here, there's the icon. It's in that location. I'll come down to that in a second what that means. So You can make your symbols and you can name your image path. So this way you have a good, nice order and everything is good. One thing to make sure that you set your settings right. Number one, your ruler, set it over to px because we're working in pixels, not in points. Same as here. Select pixels, not something else. Okay? So that your image or icon is 375 by 375, nicely square. All of them are the same. Look at all of the paths. They're all 375, 375. And then you see your X and Y here showing you different locations. And we show that here in a second why that is so important. So now we see it's down here. Let's put it back in there. So it's tied under the symbol. And it doesn't look like a symbol when you look at it first. But what you can do is you put your images all together here in path form. So if you have an image, let it draw up to become a path. So if you have an image, you click on it, right click, and then you say here, option, and then draw bitmap, path bitmap, and whatnot. Then you can convert your images over to something. So let's take here an example. Import, and let's take an import here. Click OK. It's right there, right? There's my image. Let's put it, come on. Yeah, let's put it there. It's a little unorthodox, but you'll see why it's so important in a second. So right now it's in there and you see that you can't see it. But if you take that image out and you just drop it down below, hey, out of it, now you can see it. Because when they are in the symbol group, for some odd reason, Inkscape hides it, so you can't see it. But here's, for example, the logo for True Social. So what you can do is take this, right click on it, and say trace bitmap. And then you convert it over with your settings, and you say apply, and then you have a copy of it. Now we can close this here again. You go back to your layer, and now you see there's your image, and there's your path copy. Very simple. So keep that in mind, and then you can just combine the two and you can get rid of the image. Let's get rid of the path as well. So in order to spec everything out, and this is where symbol comes into play in the SVG layout, and also making sure everything is lined up. There's a lot of nightmare to it, which I went through, where I said, oh gosh, how can I display it? It was off by X, by Y. It was not the right dimension because I didn't focus on having everything in pixel added and points, and tried to show something in pixel, and the image was looking just squished down, or I saw the whole frame set of 2000 by 2000 pixel, and I had all this nastiness. So cut all this chase, put it all in here like it is. Once you have it in there, and if you don't know how to create a symbol, it's very, very simple. You can't do it just out of the box here, right? So it's like, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? You can say a layer, but a layer is not what you want. You want a symbol. So the thing which I learned is up here is a little drop down. And maybe there's a different way to it, but this is what I found. You can drop down on here and say XML editor down here. You click on it, and it brings you the whole file of your SVG in an XML format, so to speak. So here you can see your XML format, and you can now go on it, and it can say, I want to see the whole thing, or I want to create something, don't want to create something. I'm just looking at it. So I see values here, I see definitions here, I see other values here, I see here's my True Social, for example. I see, oh, there's some settings in it, there's my path in it, and we'll go into that in a second. So things you can do, there's always uniodide node and whatnot. There's a lot more than what I know from this so far. But what I found out is I just get my WinSCP quickly open and grab me this little nice SVG file and say, okay, I want to edit this quickly in Notepad. Bring it up here, and it gives me everything in an XML format because that's what it is. And when you can see then, here's, for example, my symbol starting and going down to here. So this is my True Social. And because it's in symbol and it's wrapped into a symbol, I can't see it anymore. But if you have your path, you just put a symbol in front, smaller / symbol greater, then you have it wrapped into a symbol, and then you can tweak all the information which are in here. You can easily copy and paste it, and you're good. Bunch of back and forth. This is what I found then out. Once you have it, make sure your lineups, everything when you stack them in there, that you write down your pixels correctly. So make sure in your image the height and width is set to 2000 or whatever you want to do px pixel. So you don't have to confuse, because now your view box is also matching that. Okay, everything is then pixel. That's why change your ruler over to pixel. A lot easier. Saves you a lot of headaches, because by default it wants to use points. And points and pixel is a 1.6 difference. 1, 2, right? That can be off, but it puts everything out of scope. So make sure you have your symbol created. Make sure you write in focusable, false, aria-hidden, true, your view box, and your ID. Your ID in the symbol is what is being called in the front end when you call it. And then you just put the path down in there and make sure that everything is correct. You don't need the style. As you can see, you don't need the style. So when you see a style and you see a stroke in there, say, okay, whatever, I don't need it. Boom, remove it, close out, done deal. But this is how you can then line things up. It's a little bit of a complicated step by step first, but once you have it, then everything lines up. And when you save it, close and reload, reopen Inkscape, it will then line up also all these X's and Y's correctly, even for your symbols in the proper way, and you know where what is. So my YouTube is there, my X is here, my Xing is here, my Pinterest is there, Instagram is there, there's my Facebook, right? And you can have them all in whatever order there is. And important is two things in here. So go back into the XML quickly. Remember, when you are in here and you look at it, view box 00375 right? 0000375 Instagram, where's my Instagram? Ah, right next. 375, meaning starting point X, right there. Starting point Y, right there. And then how far out? So from there, plus how much. Not the end number, just how much you want to move. So if it's square 375, that's 375 by 375. If it's 500, you're doing 500 by 500, or whatever you want as a size. Now you have everything here saved and secured and sound. That's all there is to it. Once you're done, saved it, and you have that in that proper order, you're good. You're golden. You can lighten it up more if you want to, but you don't have to. Now in the text version, you're going to see that it puts in a lot of more information from Inkscape, and you can remove those or you can leave them in. That's really up to you. They don't hurt, they don't harm. But the beauty is you have one single file with a standard DPI 96 by 96. That's where that point to pixel ratio comes into play. But again, you see here your pixel and everything. This whole thing to figure out, to get it all lined up correctly, took me literally 5 days. Yeah, full 5 days of learning, figuring out, making sure everything is lined up proper. And I did it a little bit here to make it a little bit more visual for me, easier to read. So can I put it all in one single line per symbol? Yeah, of course I can. I just left it as is and have it. But here you can see your view blocks. So x0, 1125, so that's 375 times 4. Okay, my math sucks. 375 times 2 is 700, 700, and then times 3. So 1125, 3. Sorry for that. My math is not the greatest today. Now you have your view box, and your view box in here, don't get it confused, especially when using AI tools. The AI tools will give you the wrong spelling. If you are within the symbol or the use or the SVG in HTML, everything is lowercase. If you're in the real SVG file, the view box is spelled view, B-O-X. Okay? Uppercase B there. An importance to know. Everything else is lowercase, so just wanted to call that out. Here you have still the stroke in. The stroke, you can actually get rid of it. You don't use it. Backspace it. Boom, all done. You see that nowhere else I have strokes. I removed them all because I'm calling it in the CSS what stroke width I'm using, and I want to have it unifiably throughout all the images the same. So as you can see here, it's YouTube, WhatsApp, Venmo, TikTok, Spotify, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Flickr, Dropbox, Baidu, whatever you want to call it. They're all in here in one single file. And sorry for scrolling here, so don't get dizzy here quickly. I just scrolled up. So they're all one after the other. It doesn't matter what the order is. The importance is this, and that you call it correctly. So in this case, true social is the ID. That's the ID which you're calling them in your script in here. So if you're calling, let's go back to it, true social, we're going down and we're looking for true social. There it is. So we're calling here, there's the file, and then hashtag true social, ID true social. And as you see here, I wrote it differently, right? True space social. It goes by ID. The ID is the important part. Once you have that all lined up like this, you're golden. And in use, all you do is exactly this. You use href equal the call, close it, use, close it. If you have the urgency to use the old method so that it actually shows, then you do an xlink call like this. Most modern web browsers for the last 3, 4, 5 years are all no longer needing the xlink info in it. They just go by use href, and that's it. but you can still use the xlength in it. It doesn't hurt. I don't use it, but that's how you have it. So once you have it and you have it lined up here, you see I did a div block, call it as a class SMM row. In the SMM row, I defined display flex, flex wrap, justify content center, align item center, and margin 24 pixel 0. Okay, I just left it as is, most likely as a default. So when you look now at the images, they're all there. If your image icon is not in the total square, it's 90% of the time that your SVG pixels are off. And that's where it becomes into handy. So when you look into the inspect, if I click on inspect, there we go. So if I click now on inspect, you see it folds it nicely over as I, as I move it back and forth, right? It folds over. So, and you can see there it is. So if I go here into the code line, and there's my style. As you see, I didn't optimize it yet. And here is my div section. And as you can see on the left now, highlighted, every single box is squared 100 pixel by 100 pixel, and the image is fitting. And because this diamond is having corners touching the outer rim of the image on all four corners, I said no spacing because it can touch each other. So if it is square, it would be like touching downwards as well. But if it's off center, it's like that. If I get it to, let's say 4, 4, right? So I'm still off center here. If I have shown only 4 pictures and 4 pictures or icons, then it would line these tops and bottoms the same up, so it would be nice as in the square pattern. But it always is a nice pattern because of no matter how you have it, it fits it nicely in place. And so from the code side, let me move it over here so that you can see what you see here. So when you go over it and you look at the href, the real link section, it's the whole image square. Then the SVG is matching the 100 by 100, right? It comes from the side here, 100 by 100. There it is. And now I go down here, and you can see it no longer grabs this. It inherited it already, so it doesn't need the other one. But here it is, and here I call for the Facebook section, and there it is. So that's how I achieved it, and this works. This way I only have one single file actually on my server, and let's see if I can copy outer and bring that over and just do this and remove this and say marketing.info and bring this up. As you can see, the image itself, no matter if I call anything or not, it doesn't show me anything. It's totally blank. But when you look and you look at the details, they are all there. And there you can see all the specs with it. It shows you some outdated information, but here you can also see then the correct information for the view box being in. This is an old entry. It's an old cache entry. So, but this is how you essentially achieve that, so that you have one file and you call with a name all the individual segments within. This way, when you go and you do a network, for example, and you're looking at your network here, reload the page. Let's see if I can reload it with the whole data path. So let's see if we can see also the console. No errors other than, right? Why is this one not giving me disabled cache? I want to see all the elements down here. Oh, there you go. Sorry. I still have to get used to this Chrome. Normally I'm a Firefox guy, so you can see here, you're looking for that file, right? Which is that SVG. So you can go through, you're looking at everything, and you're looking for here, JPEGs, scripts, PNGs, more scripts, and there you see there's one file and the second file. The second file is 46 kilobyte big and has a cache control. That's why I was saying there's a cache being grabbing it. So that's why sometimes you have to force reset your cache so you don't catch yourself in it. But this is how you can get everything in one file, and you don't have to run and say, oh, this is my Facebook, that's my Instagram, this is my LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, TikTok, True Social, X, and Xing, which is the European counterpart to LinkedIn, by the way, if you didn't know. And so with that, you can see everything, which could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 individual network calls. You stuffed everything together in one. I've actually 16 in that. 16, 17 now. I would have to look back. Actually, let's take a look how many I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, full-blown 16 in it. So I have 16 icons stuffed into one little file, which is only 46 kilobyte big. Very, very tiny, because it's the SVGs is a vector, so it compresses very well, similar to what a WebP or WebB would be. So hopefully this helps you guys. If you have questions, just leave questions below in the comments, and I try to answer. This is a bigger series of videos which I'm producing, because what I'm building is something which I've done in the past, and I used Sapphire and Make.com in the past for speed and accuracy, but now I want to put that into a product which can be used internally instead of using a sub vendor or a SaaS provider. I want to actually be my own social media scheduler and platform where I can post and publish things with. So this is what this whole lines up. Later on, when you are logged in, you only see this, and then you click on the Facebook, and then it would go to that Facebook company page, what you put behind it. In this case, it just goes to Facebook right now, to the just direct URL. There's nothing attached to it, but you can stiff that information in here in these links where to point it exactly to, right? So if you change that here, it would reflect here, and then it would point to whatever you're pointing it to. And so you can then say, oh, I want to do an API call and push that to, and that's exactly what we want to do. So we're going to do with Node.js a direct API push into the APIs of these different social media platforms to post the content of this page. So that's the idea. So this article, by one click, you push it into that. And in order to not just have it real time, we'll get a pop-up window coming with a calendar where you just put your calendar date and time in when scheduled to be published. And then it's scheduled and it will publish automatically. And then you'll find a record of that in your email when it was actually scheduled, and also when it was actually published. And there are more options which we can come up with. till we have it as a full-blown product platform. So there's a lot more coming, but I wanted to show you guys how I manage this SVG, because when you go into ChatGPT and you ask it, it gives you the runarounds. If you ask Claude, Grok, Gemini, or Gemini, whatever you want to call it, they all give you wrong answers, and at the end you actually have to sit down and put bits and pieces together and get it all correctly lined up. But this method works, as you can see, and it works flawless. The only thing you have to remember is the cache. So if you have caching involved, make sure you turn that off on your browser. Get rid of the cache when you're playing around with these, because they're automatically getting dumped into a cache, which is multiple days of it being in the cache. But hopefully you guys like this type of video content. Again, if you have questions, leave them down below in the comments. If you have other suggestions, leave them in the comments as well. Again, I don't have to share this code really, because it's so simple, straightforward. The importance is that you have the structure right, so you can take your screenshot, look at it. It is really, really simple once you know how to have to structure your SVG. That is the main thing. Your SVG is doing all the hard work for you. And once you understand how the ID and the view box playing a key role, how to then reflect your path, then everything falls into play. It's a little bit of an effort at the beginning, but you do it once, and then from there on you have an arsenal. You can use it over and over and over again in different ways. So don't feel afraid when you do this work. And you have to use either Adobe Illustrator and you pay for the license, or you use Inkscape, which is open source. So I use here Inkscape 1.4.2 in this. Pretty sure there are newer versions coming out. But with this and a little bit of help, you get it just done. Works right out of the book when you do it right. Once you get over these hurdles and you combine and figure out how to do two cross joins with the path, what I already showed in the first part, then it's easy sailing. And then you start learning, okay, I can do this, I can do that, right? And then you can squeeze in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, and then you have even more down. So I can essentially push in 25 here and still have room to spare. And I can even expand this if I needed to a bigger size. So I didn't fully optimize it, because I only use black and white in this case, so it's very small and compact anyways. So I didn't have to over optimize things. But as you can see, I'm only going to 70, 50 plus something. So I'm like 250 pixel really short. So I could remove that, but I started with the 2000 and I stuck with it. But again, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe. More videos about this project will happen soon. Thank you.